dear students. I hope you all are doing great and preparing for your upcoming examinations. So, welcome back to your online classes by LPM Public School, situated in Gola Bazar, Gorakhpur. So, students, as you all know, in our previous video lesson, we had revised chapter number 13. Okay, so what was the name of chapter number 13? The name of chapter number 13 was means of transport. Okay, means of transport. And in today's video we will revise chapter number 14. Okay, that is changing means of communication. Okay, what is the name of our chapter? Our chapter name is changing means of communication. Okay, communication. So firstly, what is the meaning of communication? Do you know, students, what is the meaning of communication? So here you need to understand firstly that what is communication. Okay, for that we talking about. Okay, so students, as you all know, communication means the exchange of ideas and information between people. Okay, so when we send a thought of our when we send an information or a thought to the other person or to the other people, then it's called communication. Okay, so in simple language you can say that the exchange of ideas and information between people is called communication. Okay, so, what are the ways to communicate? Can you tell me what are the ways to communicate? So, there are lots of ways and there are lots of mediums in which you can communicate each other. You can communicate with people. Okay, okay. Communication can be spoken as well as written. Okay, you can communicate with other people. You can talk with the other people, you can communicate with the other people by writing or by speaking. Okay, so let's go ahead and summarize our chapter. We will revise firstly this chapter, we will summarize all the information of this chapter, and after that we will move on to the exercises of this chapter. Okay, so students, you have to watch this video till the end to get the all informations about this chapter. Okay, and in the end of this video I will give you the homework. Okay, I will give you a homework that you have to do at your home. Okay, and you have to practice it. Okay, so firstly, what is a communication? What is communication? Communication, here you can see, look at this screen. Communication is the sending and receiving messages and information. Okay, as I told you earlier, communication means sending or receiving messages or information. For example, when we meet someone, okay, it's just an example to make you understand. Okay, when we meet someone and talk to them, we are communicating with. Okay, we are communicating with that people. Okay, we also communicate when we write a letter to someone. Okay, or when we speak over the telephone or send mails or photographs on the internet. So it means we are communicating these all mediums. Okay, so these all the ways to communicate. Okay, now talk about changes in means of communication. Okay, even 100 years ago, communication over long distances was slow and difficult. Okay, so 100 years ago, in ancient time, communication was very slow and very difficult. Okay, so often people what the people used to do? People carried messages on foot. Okay, when they had to give any message to someone, what they do? They carried messages on foot for long time, for the long distances. Okay, they used to use pigeons to carry the messages or letters. Okay, it could take weeks or even months for a message to reach. Okay, But now what you can see, at this time you can talk to a person who is sitting long distance from you. You can talk to that person in within a second. Okay, you can just call that person, you can just text that person, you can talk with them. Okay, and at this time you can communicate with the people all over the world in very easiest and very few time. Okay, now we can communicate with anyone, anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. Okay, as I told you earlier, communication can be two types. Okay, communication can be two types. First one is personal communication, and second one is mass communication. Okay, so there are two types of communication. First one is personal communication, and second one is mass communication. Okay, you need to remember these two types of communication. Okay, so let's see what is personal communication. Okay, firstly we will know this first type of communication, personal communication. What is personal communication? Communication that takes place between two or a few people is called personal communication. Okay, communicating through letters and the telephone are example of personal communication. Okay, when you are talking with your friend, or you are talking with one people, okay, you are talking with just one person or a few people, it's called personal communication. But if you talk about mass communication, then mass communication is a type of communication in which there are lots of people are involved. Okay, so let's see what is mass communication. So mass communication is a communication where lots of people are involved in that communication. Okay, now let's see this postal service. Okay, what is postal service? So letters are one of the most common means of personal communication. We send letters and parcels through the postal service. Okay, and we write a letter. Okay, so what are the steps of this? Let's see the history of a letter. Firstly, Anil writes a letter to his brother, to his mother. Okay, Anil writes a letter to his mother. After that, what Anil did? Anil post it in the letter box. Okay, after writing a letter, he posts it in the letter box. After that, a postal worker, as you can see in this picture, a postal worker takes it to the post office. Okay, a postal worker takes it to the postal office. Okay, after that, from there, the letter is sent by train to his mother's village. Okay, and after that, the letter are sent by train to his mother, and it means Anil's mother's village. Okay, and then you can see a postal worker takes the letters to his mother's house. She is so happy to receive and read Anil's letter. Okay, so this postal worker takes the letter to Anil's mother's house, and he gave her the letter. After that, she read the letter and she became so happy. Okay, if you talk about telephone, then telephone is also a means of personal communication. Okay, and who invented the telephone? It is a very interesting fact, students. Who invented the telephone? Who is the inventor of telephone? Do you want to know? So, the person, a scientist who invented the telephone was Alexander Graham Bell. Okay, his name was Alexander Graham Bell. Okay, Alexander Graham Bell more than 100 years ago. So he invented the telephone more than 100 years ago. Okay, with the telephone, people could connect to anywhere, anyone, anywhere in the world in a matter of seconds. Okay, Look at this box. Here you can see earlier urgent messages were sent as telegrams. Telegrams were sent using the telegraph machine. In India, the last telegraph was sent on 15 July 2023 or 2013. Okay, 2013. Okay, so the last telegram was sent in 2013. Okay. Okay, see these, you can see this different kind of telephones. First picture you can see the Alexander Graham Bell making a call from Norway, New York to Chicago. Okay, this is the Alexander Graham Bell. Okay, this is the very old type of telephone, a very early model of wall telephone. Okay, this is wall telephone. This is a hanging on the wall. Okay, next one is a modern telephone. Okay, it is a modern telephone. As you have must you must saw this telephone, this kind of telephone around you. Okay, now here you can see the cellular phones, smartphones. Okay, these are the kind of telephones. Okay, now let's move on to the mass communication. What is mass communication? The exchange of information. Okay, mass communication, here we will know about the mass communication. So mass communication is the exchange of information. Okay, when we exchange information with many people. Okay, more than one people, more than two three peoples. Okay, so the exchange of information with many people at the same time is called mass communication. Okay, the means of mass communication are called mass media. Okay, so the means that we use to communicate with so many people on the same time, we use the means to communicate in mass communication that means are called mass media. Okay, the example of mass medias are newspaper, television, radio. Okay, these are the example of mass media. Okay, so firstly we will talk about newspaper. What is newspaper? Newspaper and magazine. Okay, so newspapers and magazines contain news articles and advertisements printed on a paper. As you can see in this picture, this uncle is reading a this man is reading a newspaper. Okay, so all the information, all the news are contained on the printed on a paper is called a newspaper. Okay, next one is radio. Okay, as you can see in this picture, this is a radio, an old radio. Okay, so a radio was one of the earliest means of mass communication. It is popular even today. Okay, even today people use radio for mass communication. Okay, it can be used to spread information to every corner of the country. Okay, and this is very beneficial as well. Okay, why? Because it doesn't need electricity. Okay, a radio doesn't need electricity. You can run it on the cell. Okay, you can run it on the cells. You can use cell battery in it, and we can you can get the information and news. Okay, even distant villages that do not have electricity, even people who cannot read or write can listen the radio and get information. Okay, they listen. If a person know how to read and write, only then he can read a newspaper and he can get information. But what is the matter of radio? If a person doesn't need that how to read, how to write, even then he can listen the radio and he can get informations. So it's very interesting and very beneficial. Okay, move on to the next one is television. Television is also a kind of mass communication. You all are aware about it. Okay, you all have television at your homes. You can watch movies, cartoons, news on television. Okay, sitting at your home. Okay, now we will talk about the internet. Okay, The invention of internet around 60 years ago. So when internet invented before, you can say 60 years ago, okay? And it completely changed the way people communicate, okay? Now you can email, okay? You can email on social media, you can use the social media, you can email anyone, okay? So what is emails? Emails or electronic mails are letters sent over the internet. You can't send an email without internet, okay? Now let's talk about social media. What is social media? The creation of social media or social networking sites such as Facebook, Twitter are made it very easy to stay connected with friends and family. The latest platform for chatting with friends are Instagram and WhatsApp. Okay, we can also see and chat with each other using video calling programs like Zoom, Skype, FaceTime, Google Meet, etc. Okay, so that's all about the changing means of communication, how the people in the ancient time used to communicate, and now how people communicating at this time nowadays. Okay, so it is totally different from the old time. Okay, it has changed a lot the way of communication of the people nowadays. Okay, so you learn about the different changing means of communication in this chapter. Okay, and now we will move on to the exercises of this chapter. Okay, the exercise number 1 is mark the following sentences as true or false. Okay, mark the following sentences as true or false. Correct the ones that are false. Okay. So here what you have to do, you have to write true or false in front of the sentences. Okay. If the sentence is true, then you will write true. If the sentence is false, then you will write false in front of the particular sentence. Okay. If you talk about the first sentence, then it is communication can be spoken as well as written. So this sentence is true, okay? Because you can communicate with a person by speaking or by writing, okay? So this is true. So you have to write TRUE, true, okay? Next one is sending letters by post is the fastest way of communicating. No, it's not fastest. You can say it's the slowest way of communication nowadays. So it is false. Okay. So write false over here. Third one is the telephone is a means of mass communication. So the telephone is not a means of mass communication. It is a means of personal communication. Okay. So this is false. Write false over here. You have to write the full spelling of false. Okay. Don't write T or F. Next one is smartphones cannot be used to connect to the internet. This one is again false because smartphones can be used to connect to the internet. Okay, so false. Next one is Facebook is a social media site. Yes, true. Facebook is the social media site as you saw the earlier in this chapter. Here it is Facebook and it is the social media site. Okay, so the rest of the exercises we will cover in the next video lesson, and thank you for watching this video and see you in the next video lesson. Till then, keep preparing, keep studying, and you have now it's your turn to read this chapter. Okay, and do this exercise in your book if you haven't complete it till now. Okay, and you have to practice exercise number 1 in your PC copy. Okay, so this is your today's homework. Okay, so see you in the next video lesson. Till then, bye bye, take care of yourself.